Kia ora and welcome back to the channel. I'm Elvie and today we have an exciting video. If you saw my haul review, you might have seen this one coming. But if not, here we are. We are doing Roman Szmal. I picked up this set in Krakow in Poland. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But I was really excited. That was the whole reason I went to Poland, was to get a Roman Szmal set because I just absolutely adored the 5 full pan set that I got, and I really wanted a larger set of theirs. I was going to get a large one, but I just decided to get this one, which is a 12 half pan set of theirs, which is their landscape one, which felt very fitting. We've got some beautiful looking colours on the back here. I'll read out the names for you as well as the pigment information. This is the tin it comes in, if I can get it out. Yeah, there we go. And it's just a standard 12 half pan set. I haven't bought one of these ones in a while, I'll put it that way so I can read it. And so it should just open out. Boom. Oh, we've got a swatch card in here. Oh no, that's actually really handy, so I'll put that up here as well. And then if we open it up, they don't come wrapped, which is honestly better for the environment. They all look very beautiful and juicy. Roman Szmal watercolors tend to be very easy to activate and everything, so I'm quite excited. We've got a really nice range of colors here. That's why I picked the set, because of the color selection. I thought it'd be the most me fitting. And so yeah, let's get into it. Bit of cardboard. I will swatch this out here with you guys. This is also cotton paper, so it should be fine, and I can just do this one in my own time. So I'll put it down the side. I've just got a black velvet brush in the number 4 to use. This is a round brush and it just holds a lot of water. I'm not going to use like dig for paint. I'm just going to do a light tap because from memory, Roman Szmal is really easy to activate. Oh, look at that. This is quinacridone yellow PY138. I was about to say 138, but 138. Kind of read it out as you do decimal numbers, I find. So that is just a very soft layer of that. Quinacridone yellow tends to be quite transparent, so I love a transparent cool yellow, so that's really lovely. Just picking up a little bit of this color. So this is, what is this system? I don't know why I wrote it out this way. This is Pyrrole Scarlet PR255. This is quite a lovely cool red. I've used a few Pyrrole like reds before, and they are definitely some of my favorites. I think I've used Daniel Smith's version on a dot card before, and I really enjoyed it, so nice to see that color here. Then we've got quinacridone magenta PR122, and this is that's lovely. Quite like Core's quinacridone magenta, so this one is a lovely color as well. Very easy to re-wet, the 3 of them so far, and these ones seem quite transparent from first impressions, though I am going in with a lot of water first. Next is Ultramarine Intense PB29. That is gorgeous. I'm going to use a bit of extra water here because I know ultramarine tends to granulate, and I can see a little bit of texture coming along already. This is just cold press paper, but if you use it on rough paper, the granulation will show up a lot more, so that's the texture of the paint. Sometimes I say words and I'm like, there could be someone here that doesn't know a lot about watercolor and is just here for the vibes and doesn't know what granulation is, and I want to explain it, you know. Next is Blue Sky. This one is double pigmented. This is a white pigment in it. So PW6 and PB15:1. Look at that. That looks like it granulates a bit too. So I believe unless it's 15:3, but I believe that pigment is phthalo blue. I could be wrong. It looks like a very soft amount of granulation, but I could be wrong, just in here. But we shall see. So that's the Blue Sky. Then we've got Shadow Grey. And Shadow Grey is 3 pigments, so PB29. So that's the ultramarine pigment. Then we've got PBR7, so that's a brown pigment commonly seen in like burnt sienna, burnt umber. And then we've got PV19, which is a typical like violet dioxazine violet, the wrong way around. But it's quite a lovely grey, and it looks like there's a little bit of texture, probably from the ultramarine. And again, if you swatch this on rough paper, you'll be able to see that texture a lot more. Next up is Sap Green Light, which is PY110 and PG7. So PG7 is quite a common pigment you would see in, like, that's your phthalo green, so a very bold, bright green colour. There we have it swatched out. It's quite a, it reminds me of like green gold a little bit from that swatch, which is not my preferred colour, but it is still a nice green. Then we've got Kerosene Green, which is 3 pigments again. It's PY150, PBR25, and PB29. This also looks like a lovely colour. I'm going to use a bit of extra water to hopefully bring out some granulation. That's quite lovely. Then we have Buff Titanium, which is just PW6:1. And this is actually, what is it? My first Buff Titanium. I see it everywhere and in so many palettes, but it's just never been in one that I've bought. So very exciting stuff. It's interesting that they've got their logo on the palette here. Usually it's on the corner here, so it's interesting to have it here. I usually use this side of the palette more than over here, so we'll see. Everyone has a side of the palette they just gravitate towards. We've got Gold Ochre next, which is PY43. And that is a lovely kind of ochre colour. Earthy yellow. And then we've got Italian Burnt Sienna, which is PBR7. Which also looks like it's got a bit of texture, so we shall see. Drag it up out a bit with a bit of water. And then we've got Cypress Burnt Umber Deep, which is PBR7. Which looks like a lovely brown as well. So those are our swatches. I've gone very light with the paint, so if I remember and they've dried in time, I'll do another layer on top to see what they look like in a heavier concentration swatched over top, as you might see in typical swatching videos. So that is the colour range. They're in a really weird order. That's my bad. I wrote them down in a weird way. But it kind of looks interesting, swatched out differently. Kind of, yeah. This is the painting I plan to do with you guys. So if I rearrange here in a way that you guys can see the colour and the palette at the same time. But this is just a drawing from Krakow. Well, a drawing of a photo from Krakow of the castle they've got on the hill in the main city, and it is gorgeous. And so I was like, I have to take a photo of it, and then I'm like, thank goodness I did, because now I am painting it. Now I'm going straight in with that sky blue. I think I'll just go straight in with that color and not mix it. So go straight in with that. See how it kind of is beading up here on the palette? That's very common for a set that you've just got. It takes a little bit of wear for them to not bead up and to kind of flow more smoothly on a metal surface. Sets like this don't tend to stain unless it's like a very cheap material, like a very, very cheap metal tin, but even then, like, they don't tend to stain, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. And yeah, the tin is very typical for metal tin. You can add an additional one if you push all these along either side, so you could, instead of having 12 half pans, fit an extra 2, which would bump it up to 14. And yeah, you could probably fit a half pan in the middle here. It looks wide enough too, which some people might prefer as well, having some additional colors in the set. So if you had some other Roman Szmal colors, I know they do a lot of specialty colors, so if you had some of them and you wanted to add them in, you probably could. I don't know, I don't have my Roman Szmal full pans on me, or other half pans, but I assume you could. They look like a good size. And then you could also just remove this completely and have them just like magnetized to the base of the palette. There's a lot of different ways to arrange a palette like this. For the drawing, I just used I grabbed too much, a micro pen. I think it was in 0.3, so very fine tip. Just because I forgot about it and I was like, I need to use this pen more. And so here we are, using it more, right? But it is quite a lovely pen. It's not my favorite, but it did the trick. Kind of letting it bloom a little bit up here in the corner, I don't particularly mind having a bit of that texture, so that's right to me. And then we'll go in, I don't quite like this sap green, so maybe I'll use that blue on the palette there. Maybe even a little bit yellow. It's quite a bold green color, that lawn. Roman Szmal, they haven't really done half pans for that long, I feel like. Maybe they have now, maybe I'm just playing it up in my head, but when I first heard about them, I only really saw the full pan sets of theirs. They all look amazing, and I've heard really good things about Roman Szmal. I've tried them out, I think it's a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now, and they are really lovely paints. The reason I ended up buying these and going to Poland was because I really miss my set from home, and similar to Core, like a really nice, just reliable paint to have. And yeah, I really enjoy using them. Maybe a little bit of red, kind of mix up that green in the bush. Yeah, Roman Szmal is just lovely to use. So it's nice to have some more of their colors to try. I was tempted to get like I think I mentioned this at the start of the video, a really big set of theirs, but I already know I have a lot of paint and that I don't necessarily need a big set of theirs, so I just opted for this as well. But I'm excited to use the set more and yeah, just show it a little bit of love. It took me a while to actually review this and like use it, because I wanted to be in the mindset of trying out new paints and taking the time to appreciate them as well. So I'm kind of thinking a bit of that Shadow Violet. I feel like maybe buff titanium, because I don't know how to use that colour in my paintings, so try a bit of that as well. And just that for the ground, or the pavement there. It's quite interesting when you're got a set with some colours that you're just not sure how to use. You're like, how does this work? It's coming together. It's a little blurry for you guys. I'm sorry about that. It's just not quite focusing the way I want it to. but hopefully you can still kind of understand what's going on in the picture, well, in the painting. I'm gonna grab a bit more of that green that I've mixed up here for over this corner. And then for the buildings, I've got roof, so I'm going to use a bit of that pyro red. It's pretty good, but I'm going to add a bit of the brown and ochre, I think, to kind of make it a bit more terracotta colour. That works, I reckon. And then we'll go over it for the roof here. Poland was lovely. I know I only went to Krakow, but it was absolutely wonderful. Went to a lake, got to kind of explore, see so many beautiful buildings, and lots of art supply shops. I think, yeah, I mentioned in the haul video as well that I found 2 of the very older Winsor & Newton large pans, so still yet to do a video on them, but I'm super excited about that because I remember when I first found out about them, I was like, oh my gosh, hey, I'm obsessed with these, like, let me go buy some when I can. Like, it took me a while, like, I didn't have a job at the time, so I was like, I'll wait until I have a job and I'll buy some. And then when I found out they were discontinued, I like died inside. I was like, no, I really wanted those were so cool. I was being a bit dramatic about it, but so yeah, I was really excited. Moral of the story, excited when I found these ones in Poland. It was just 2 colours, a burnt sienna and a phthalo blue, but 2 colours, you can do a lot with 2 colours. And it's not like I can only use those 2 colours, you know, I've got a lot of other paints that they can kind of work with. I'm just doing an overall like base colour. I can always come back and do the windows later. This is kind of like a mix of the yellow and buff titanium. And it's just going to be for most of that building. Over here it's kind of pinky, a little bit of blue because it's in the shadows. So a little bit of that. It's a mixture of very light kind of base down. The roof is kind of like a, sorry if my hand's in the way, we're mixing kind of a bluey, greyish kind of colour. A bit more sure the shadow colour. And maybe a bit of the red. I think, yeah, that's a bit better. And that can be the roof colour here. And then a little bit over here as well. Touch. And then got some brick, so I had a bit of that sienna, not sepia. I think that's not quite right on itself, but I'll see. Put a little bit down here. That's okay. So, a bit of sepia there. Sepia, sienna, burnt sienna. To be specific, Italian burnt sienna, that works. And then we've got a little bit more over here as well. So we'll put a base of that down. And then we've got the Polish flag, which you need a bit of the red. It's very strong red, so we need to make like it's just there in the picture. Then we want to do another layer on the ground. So I'll grab that shadow violet back and a little bit of the pink to neutralize it because it's kind of leaning green. Put that down. And just kind of spread out with a lot of water. And then the green, we'll grab a bit of the colour here. And a little bit of the yellow. That was too much of the yellow. Then a bit of the sky blue. That was too much of the sky blue. Maybe okay. There we go. And we will kind of spread that out along the grass. Not necessarily covering it completely, just to add a bit of texture to the ground. And then in the trees, I also want to kind of build them up a little bit. and I'll use a bit of that darker green as well. So slowly building it up. Very slowly. And then we've got the building, so I'll add a bit of the sky blue to the green I've kind of got down, and maybe that wasn't enough green. And I'll do a base on the tower here because it's got some oxidized copper, and oxidized copper is this beautiful kind of teal color, tealy green color. If Minecraft's taught you anything, right? There you go. I think those are actually the only parts that are showing of oxidized copper. I'm going to do another layer on the roof because the roof is very faint at the moment, and I want it to be a bit more in your face. That might be too kind of browny. It's okay. It's not going to be like anything too crazy because it's already been 20 minutes. I don't want this video to be too long for you guys. And then we're going to add a bit of shadow here. I can always just pause the video for you guys and do a little bit off camera, come back to it. We'll see how we go. Might not, might. It's a ever-changing decision. Very bad at making up my mind about things like that. Okay, kind of changing up the shadows a little bit. And a bit more shadow, maybe a bit of the ultramarine. And then we'll add that in kind of here where the buildings are. And where this line I drew out is, that's quite a harsh shadow going into the side of the building too. I think, and then there's a little bit onto this building here. It's coming together a little bit. We've got the roof here, which is a darker colour, and then this is actually a darker red colour. I'm going to add a little bit more layer to the roof, and in here there's a little bit of colour going on, so I'll add a little bit. That's gold, I believe, so I'll add a bit of yellow. Very softly. And then the roofs, once again, are kind of darker colour, so we'll just kind of mix up a bit of a, that's a bit more of a brown than I wanted it to be. Oh, that's too much yellow. Keep making up my, like, being indecisive about what colour I want. But I think I like that one. You can also kind of do it for some of the doors and windows now as well, as a thing is painting is starting to dry out a little. Here we go, slowly coming together. I'm not like spending crazy amount of time on it, so it's not going to be completely perfect, but that's okay. It's more to get like a feel for the paints, and I do love from Szmal. So from like from the ones that I have tried of theirs is very lovely sets, and these have been so easy to use. Like, I'm not thinking about using the paint, I'm just painting, which is a good sign. It means that I don't have to focus on how to mix colours that I want or how these paints will react with each other. I can just use them. So I'll add a little bit of shadow there, a little bit of random shadows around, trying to build it up a little bit. And then a little bit on the roof again, just to kind of try to give it a bit more depth. The buildings definitely need a bit more. The colours have flattened quite a bit, which is okay. It just means I need to do more layers. I'm just being lazy and not wanting to do more layers. I'm going to do a bit more on the ground because the grass is dried out, and I want it to be a bit brighter. Got a bit of yellow. There we go. Lovely. By the way, this paper is once again the Rooster German paper brand. It's good paper. I'm too afraid to pronounce it because I know I'll pronounce it wrong. But this is just one of their 100% cotton sketchbooks, which I adore. It's a landscape format, A6, so it's quite small, but sometimes I do double spreads like this, and sometimes I cut the pages into small paintings. So kind of just, especially when I like the paper, I'll be more experimental and more fun with the formatting. But if I don't like the paper, I'll just try to get it over and done with. I'm almost done. Sorry about that. I'm almost done with it. I'm like, it's nothing too crazy, but it is effective. I'd say. Probably could build up. Oh, I don't know if I like that. Build up the shadows a bit more, but I don't think I will, and that's okay. I don't have to. What I will do is a second swatch of the colours on the side here. I'll do a stronger layer. Oh, sorry. So you can see how the colours look with that additional line. Okay, let's start off with the quinacridone yellow. Oh, I've got green on my paint. Wait a second. I've changed paintbrush for the pure sake that this one has a bit more of a held together tip. So quinacridone yellow. Then we'll go Pyrrole Scarlet. So I'm picking up more paint and using less water. Then we've got quinacridone magenta. And then we have ultramarine finer, ultramarine intense, sorry. Then we've got sky blue. Oh, blue sky, sorry. I said it the wrong way around. Then shadow grey. Sap green light. Aquarius green. I can, buff titanium. Gonna go over the N so you can see how opaque it is. Got gold ochre, followed by Italian burnt sienna. There's definitely some granulation texture in this brown. And then finally we have the Cypress Burnt Umber Deep, which I didn't use that much of in this painting, but I would tend to use this brown more. It just wasn't quite fitting for the scene. So I will give you guys a close-up. This is the swatches. The colours look quite lovely. It's a very weird order, so I'm sorry about that. It's a nice colour selection, interesting colours and reliable, and some fun little bits of texture here and there throughout the paints as well. And then we have the painting itself, still drying a little bit, still not focusing, so I am sorry about that, but they work really well. They are, you know, professional paints. They will work, okay? But the set was really lovely to use. I do enjoy the colour selection. I do tend to gravitate towards landscape paintings, so it makes sense. But yeah, I hope this review, first impression video was interesting, helpful, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the painting as well as the swatching along. Have a lovely one and take care. See you in the next one.